the time of this video, WordPress has more than 55,000 plugins available. That's not including the third-party plugins that you can download from other websites. But which of these plugins are the best to use for your blog or your business? Well, that's completely up to you, but there are a few essential plugins that you might want to consider. I'm Michael with WriterSanctuary, and today I want to show you 14 of my favorite plugins to use on just about every WordPress website I come across. Now, plugins offer a wide range of abilities. And because WordPress is so popular, there's developers all the time creating new plugins to do just about anything you can think of. So let's dive into some of the best ones you can use that are free for WordPress. Now, the first plugin I'm going to come across is Wordfence. Never underestimate the value of security. The Wordfence is probably one of the better and more popular security plugins you can install in WordPress. It comes with its own built-in firewall, it scans for malware, and one of the coolest features that I like is that it will email you anytime there is an administrative login, if your WordPress plugins are severely out of date, or if you're suffering a direct attack. Even the smallest blogs should have some kind of security plugin. A bot and a hacker don't really care if you get 1 visitor a day or 10,000. Always safeguard your WordPress website. Second on my list of essential plugins is Yoast SEO. Now, Yoast SEO is one of my favorites for multitudes of different reasons. Not only does it help you create a website that is built around search engine optimization, but it also helps you write better content. Now, I've mentioned writing better content for clients before in a previous video using Yoast SEO because of all the different things that it scans for. And I'll leave a card right here if you're interested in learning more about that. But as a free system, Yoast SEO is quite powerful and it has a ton of different tools you can use. Now, although the pro version is far more in-depth functionality, for a beginning website, you don't really need it. The free version of Yoast is pretty much all you need until you reach a certain point in growth. Personally, I've used Yoast SEO on 3 of my primary blogs ever since it came out. And I've yet to buy the pro version, and that's on my to-do list, but at the moment, I really don't need it. Now, next up is Jetpack. I know a lot of people out there don't really like the Jetpack plugin simply because you have to have a WordPress.com account to use it, but both the plugin and the WordPress.com account are free. And Jetpack comes with a ton of different things that you can do with it. But it does offer things like lazy loading and sharing on social media. Publicize is another thing that I use quite often. There's just a bunch of fun tools that come with it, plus being able to connect to WordPress.com gives you a far more reach on knowing your target audience. I know I can go to Google Analytics, but it just seems that in some instances it's much easier to get specific information by using the WordPress.com tracking ability. And because there's a lot of modules that Jetpack uses, it's on my list of things that you should use in 2019. Next up is Google Analytics Dashboard for WP, obviously for WordPress. Not only does this plugin let you add your Google Analytics code to WordPress, but it also provides a dashboard plugin where you can see your stats directly in WordPress. This means for basic information, you don't have to go switch to your Google Analytics account. You can just look at your WordPress dashboard. It's right there on the admin screen. You can change it from real-time tracking to the last 30 days or even farther. Now, Google Analytics does have more features to it, and you can fine-tune all kinds of different research, but for the plugin, for what you could use it for, it's fairly handy. At any given time, I can look to see who's on my websites right now. Essentially, it just cuts out the middleman and brings a lot of the pertinent information directly to your website. Now, the next one we have is W3 Total Cache. Now, this is a caching plugin that will help speed up your website by minifying and caching all the elements that make your website up, such as graphics and HTML coding, stuff like that. Now, even if you don't use W3 Total Cache, there's a lot of caching plugins that you should consider adding to your website. For the most part, it makes your site faster. And when it comes to visitor engagement, if your site takes longer than 3 seconds to load, chances are they're going to leave. And this is aside from the fact that Google puts emphasis on speed. So the faster your site is, the more likely you're going to appear higher in search results. And W3 Total Cache comes with a slew of features. You could wind up spending a great deal of time trying to fine-tune everything specifically for your website. But out of all the caching apps that I've tried with WordPress, this seems to be one of the most stable. Next up is Broken Link Checker. Now, broken links can happen all the time, especially if you're linking out to a different website. Sometimes people will delete posts or move the URL or a slew of different reasons why you could break a link. What Broken Link Checker does is it goes through and analyzes all the links that you have, whether they're internal or external, and lets you know when one's broken, at which point you can go ahead and fix it. And the interface will show you what post or page that you're linking from and give you the option to edit the URL, delete it, or go back and edit the post directly. Now, fixing broken links is important for not only for visitors but for search engine as well. Google hates it when you try to link to something that doesn't exist anymore. So you always want to make sure that your links are relevant and currently active. And Broken Link Checker will do that for you. From the WordPress dashboard, Broken Link Checker will tell you how many links you have broken, and you can fix them directly from there. It's always best to stay up on top of links before you upset visitors and screw around with the Google ranking. Now, the next one on my list is Microthemer Lite. Now, this isn't necessarily a mandatory thing that you should install, but it is an incredibly useful tool. Let's say that you have a theme that you have the light version of and you don't really know a lot about coding to make changes yourself. Microthemer will let you select any element of your website and make adjustments to it, which means you can control everything from typography to color directly from Microthemer. And its interface has a ton of different tools that you can use for modifying your theme. In fact, if it wasn't for Microthemer, I probably would have changed my theme on WriterSanctuary a long time ago. But Microthemer gives me the tools to be able to make adjustments as I see fit. So instead of trying to track down the CSS coding and in PHP to make some adjustments, I can just do it from the plugin. It's an incredibly useful tool. The next one on my list is Shortcodes Ultimate. Now, Shortcodes Ultimate will add more than 50 different tools to WordPress. For instance, at any point I can just drop in a table, a calendar, or even a button into any post or page using a shortcode. And once I'm doing so, I can make changes to just about any aspect of it, like say if I'm making a new button. With Shortcodes Ultimate, I can change things like color, size, and even the different effects that the button has. So I can give it a glossy glass look if I wanted to. And that's just one feature of this tool. There's a ton of different things that are in it that are quite useful. In fact, using Shortcodes Ultimate has prevented me from needing other plugins because like 3 or 4 of the tools that I use are already in it. Not only that, but it comes with a custom CSS editor, so if you know your way around coding, you can make changes directly. Now, the next tool is one of my favorites, is WP File Manager. Now, File Manager is kind of like having a FTP program directly built into WordPress. Now, if you use things like FileZilla and CyberDuck, you can connect your computer to your website and be able to transfer files back and forth. This is quite useful, especially when it comes to like troubleshooting problems. One of the reasons why I like WP File Manager so much, though, is that you can build it directly into WordPress. So if you have multiple users and you have them using FTP, they don't have access to your root directory, only the WordPress website itself. So if you have multiple websites on one host, this plugin will make sure that all the users will stay focused on the one website. They can't access anything else outside of WordPress. And it's easy to go in and make edits to HTML. You can delete files, move things around. Essentially, you have all the capability of an FTP program built directly into WordPress. I found it incredibly useful, especially when it comes to making coding edits to certain files. Okay, the next plugin I want to show off is Contact Form by WP Forms. This is the plugin that I used recently in a video about how to add contact forms for free to WordPress. Now, WP Forms by itself is a premium service, but they do have a WP Forms Lite version. And in this version, you have limited control, but you still have full functionality. If you want to see that video, you can click on the card right there. But the free version offers quite a bit when it comes to developing forms for WordPress. Now, whether you just need a simple contact form or you're trying to engage people on a landing page, WP Forms has quite a bit that it can do for you. One of the main features of WP Forms Lite is its drag and drop ability. So if you have a feature on one side that you want to add to your form, you just drag it right over and paste it in. And the features that it has built into it for all the different points you can add to a form are quite extensive. Like in that video I mentioned earlier, I made a drop-down list, which was a requirement depending on what the person was trying to contact me for. Not only does this help in spam, but it also lets me know exactly what someone wants. Anyway, it's a very good plugin to have if you want people to contact you. Next up is Really Simple SSL. Now, this is probably one of the easiest plugins to add to WordPress if you have a secure sockets layer. Now, you can either pay for these or you can use the free version, such as Let's Encrypt. Now, anyway, Really Simple SSL makes it simple to add security certificates to your website. Like if you use systems like GreenGeeks, you're able to connect Let's Encrypt pretty easy from it. In most situations, it's just add it and activate. Of course, this also depends on whether you have an SSL certificate or not. But if you don't have an SSL, it's really going to be hard for you to appear in Google search. This is because Google puts emphasis on sites that begin with HTTPS. It's all about security nowadays. Next up, we have OneSignal Web Push Notifications. Now this is an awesome plugin if you're trying to create a way for people to know you have new content and come back to read it. It works a lot like how YouTube does when you get a notification that somebody has a new video. OneSignal will send out the same push to people's browsers whenever you publish new content. And you're able to push out pages or actually just send messages to people who are subscribed. So it doesn't have to be a post. You can just get into OneSignal and send out a general message to everybody that's in your list. Now OneSignal will let you use their secured server if you don't have an SSL. But I strongly suggest using your own SSL with it and using your own server to push notifications. It looks more professional, and it seems that I drive more traffic when I use my own server as opposed to theirs. In either case, it's really simple to set up, and you can target all kinds of different things like browsers and apps and operating systems. And at any point, you can log into the system and see just how many pushes you perform to certain devices. So you're able to see better what visitors are using device-wise when they visit your website. Now when it comes to comments, WP Discuss is a fairly good system to use. Of course, this is probably also on the optional list. It depends on whether you want comments on your blog or not. Now offering comments, though, helps keep people engaged and coming back to read. So it's probably a good idea if you have some kind of commenting system on your WordPress website. And WP Discuss is also integratable with several other systems on WordPress. For instance, WP Discuss will integrate with Akismet, which is one of the major spam fighting plugins that you can install for WordPress. It also integrates with social media, so you can have people use their social logins to leave comments. You can enable lazy loading so that it doesn't take away from speed of your website. It also comes with post sharing options so others can share their comments on Facebook and Twitter. It comes with a ton of different things you can do, and I suggest diving into it and seeing what it can do for you. And finally, no list would be complete without having a way to back up WordPress. And in this example, Updraft Plus is one of my favorites. One of the things I like most about Updraft Plus is that you're able to back up to the cloud. So if you have a Dropbox or Google Drive, you can save your entire website directly across the cloud into those systems. Which means you don't have to worry about trying to download it. And if you get an incredibly large website, it could take some time to download everything that you got. Updraft Plus is also great when it comes to restoring, so if you do have to back up and you have to restore because of a disaster or you were hacked or some other problem, a couple of clicks of the mouse and you can be back up and running. It's definitely one of my favorites and one of the more popular backup systems for WordPress with over 2 million active installs. So that's my list of 14 of the best free plugins you can use for WordPress. And this doesn't even scratch the surface of what's available out there. For the most part, plugins will depend on what you're trying to do with your website. You can add review sections, you can include recipes, nutritional information, you can integrate it with different social media apps. There's just so much you can do with WordPress. So what is your favorite WordPress plugin? Leave it in the comments down below. For me, and I know I've said it hundreds of times, it's Yoast SEO. And one of the biggest reasons why I love Yoast so much is that it's helped me fine-tune my writing for clients when I'm writing for Text Broker, for people in private world, and especially when it comes to my own blogs. There's just so much you can do. And just to let you know that I'll have a link to all the plugins that I featured today in the description down below. So if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you want to learn more about WordPress, freelance writing, Text Broker, or any of the other things that I cover, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. You can also reach me on social media, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, at WriterSanctuary. And all the messages I get on these systems, I usually respond to as quickly as I get them. Of course, that also depends on the time of day. But I guess that's going to do it for me today. I'll see you tomorrow.